I understand certain research objectives can sometimes feel very tricky, but by the end of this video, you will be well informed of how to set clear, structured, and effective research objectives using the SMART technique. So let's dive right into it. Someone might ask, what is the SMART technique? So the SMART technique is an acronym which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This method helps researchers to define clear and realistic research objectives so that they are steady-state, focused, and achievable. Let's break it down with examples to drive home my point. First, your research objective should be specific, meaning that you should clearly state what you want to achieve at the end of your study. Ensure you avoid vague statements. Let's look at this example. For the first objective, the researcher wanted to analyze the impact of social media. And with the second objective, the researcher wanted to examine the impact of Instagram usage on the academic performance of high school students in Ghana. When you observe these two objectives, you realize that the first one is not specific, whilst the second one is specific. Why is the second one specific? With the second one, the researcher clearly stated a social media platform, and the researcher also identified the dependent variable, which is the academic performance. And the researcher also identified the population, which is the high school students in Ghana, making this objective very specific. Now let's go to the next step. The next step is to set measurable research objectives. This means that you should be able to quantify or assess your research objective. Let's look at this example. To analyze student engagement in online learning, it depends on us to create items that we can use to quantify or assess our variables. If you are conducting a qualitative study, you should be able to set interview questions informed by literature to quantify students' engagement in online learning. If you are conducting a quantitative study, you should be able to get some validated skills from other studies to measure students' engagement in online learning, or you can create your own items informed by empirical evidence to measure students' engagement in online learning. By doing this, you are ensuring that your research objectives can be measured. If peradventure your research objectives cannot be measured, then you better advise yourself and change that objective. So now let's go to the next one, which is to set achievable research objectives. What does it mean to set achievable research objectives? It means that you should be able to set your research objectives within a time frame and resources available. Be honest and ask yourself whether the research objective that you set, you'll be able to achieve them within the time frame given by your institution. If it's not realistic, then consider changing it. So let's look at these examples. With the first example, the researcher wanted to study how university students worldwide perceives artificial intelligence in education. And with the second one, the researcher wanted to study how university students in two selected universities in Norway perceive artificial intelligence in education. The first objective is not achievable, but the second objective is achievable. Why? Because the second objective narrows the scope to a manageable research sample, which is the two selected universities in Norway, meaning that it's realistic and can be achieved. Unlike the first objective, the researcher was looking at worldwide perspective, which is going to take a lot to achieve that. Let's go to the next step. So the next step is to ensure your research objective is relevant. What does it mean to set relevant research objectives? It means that your research objective should align with your study or your problem statement and the gaps identified. Let's look at this example. So assuming our topic is social media marketing and student engagement, a case study of small businesses in Accra, Ghana, the first objective that the researcher set was to analyze how social media marketing strategies affect businesses while studying environmental pollution trends. And with the second example, the researcher wanted to analyze how social media marketing strategies affect customer engagement for small businesses in Accra. When you look at these two objectives, you would realize that the first objective is not relevant to the study area because of the researcher looking at environmental pollution trends, which has nothing to do with the study. But with the second objective, you would realize that it relates to the research topic and avoids unnecessary distractions. Finally, let's look at the last one, which is to set time-bound research objectives. It means that you are setting your research objective within a specific time frame to guide your work. So let's look at this example. So with the first example, the researcher wanted to study how stress affects university students. And with the second one, the researcher wanted to study how stress affects university students during the 2024 academic year. The first objective is not time-bound, but the second one is time-bound. The second one is better because it sets a clear time frame, making the research more focused and achievable. And that's how you use the SMART technique to set your research objectives. By using this technique, you would always ensure that you are setting focused, structured, and effective research objectives so that you will not get stuck at a point in your research. I believe you found this one useful. Let me know in the comment section. Share with someone who is conducting his research who might need this. And don't forget to follow for more research tips like this. So see you in the next one.